praiseforwarwear.com.
Hello, how are you? Good evening. Welcome to Wednesday Night Affair with Praise for Wowe. I am super excited and I want to say thank you very much for, staying awake to join us. Kindly let me know. Some of you have asked for us to push the time back to about 8 p.m. Kindly let me know if that's your preference. But some of you prefer the 9 p.m. But I want to say thank you very much for always joining. I do not take it for granted at all that you join my show. It's a Wednesday night affair with Praise for where you know that when it comes to family life strategy, no one does it better across the globe. And so I want to say welcome. How has it been with you? And I want to believe that you're enjoying your love life and you're staying faith and everything is working together for your good. Now, last week I started talking about manipulating the manipulator, which is a very, very interesting subject, an interesting topic because a whole lot of us have been victim of manipulation in our relationship. Many of you have been manipulated by leaders that you trusted, manipulated by mentors, by religious leaders, by even parents sometimes. You've been manipulated by your friends. And many of us have been at the receiving end of heartbreak of relationships that you gave your all and eventually you found out that you were manipulated. As a matter of fact, when we talk about the different formations that people play in marriage, there's a formation called tantis. Tantis is the kind of formation where someone who looks weak gets into a relationship with someone who is a bit strong, but is using the stronger person to negotiate their next level. That when they become empowered, they begin to manifest something that you begin to wonder, where did this come from? Eventually they dump the person that helped them up to negotiate, to move to the next level. And that becomes something that has really, really affected a lot of people when it comes to love relationship. But today we're going to conclude the session on manipulating the manipulator. If you were here last week, you will recall that I tried to define manipulation when I started this session. And I hope you haven't forgotten the definition, because when you understand that manipulation is not primarily a negative word, it's actually a neutral word that can be used positively or negatively. And then I mentioned the origin of that word, because you can understand a concept without understanding the origin. It's about handling. That's what manipulation is all about. That you can manipulate your car, you can manipulate, your child positively. It's about gripping. So we established that the concept is not actually wrong. The gripping is not a problem. The end of the person that is manipulating you is where the real issue is. And so last week I defined manipulation, negative manipulation, as a trauma-driven, devious behavior that is designed to exploit and control others to favor oneself, which ultimately strips them of their authenticity and make them into a tool in the hand of the manipulator. Many of you were very confident until you fell into the wrong hand. There was a relationship that left you with a lot of scars, and since then you've not really been yourself. You've not been yourself since you left that relationship. There was someone you met at some point in time in your life, and from the moment you met the person, you lost confidence that by the time you were leaving that relationship, you were no longer yourself. As a matter of fact, there are people listening to me. You found yourself in a marriage, found yourself in a relationship that you've not been able to leave simply because you don't even know where to start your life from. And so people find themselves in situations that they never bargained for. So when you were falling in love, there was no plan that this person was going to manipulate you, because you gave your, or negatively manipulate you because you were giving your all in the relationship. So the last time I talked about the different types of manipulation situations that people find themselves, and then I started talking about how to deal with manipulators. And I talked about two action steps that you can take, because a lot of you are not even aware that you are being manipulated. If you're in a relationship where your opinion does not count, or in a relationship where when you speak your truth or when you complain about what is not going your way, you are made your partner would wish it away, and you're made to believe that something is wrong with you. In many cases, you see red flags, but when you complain, you're made to believe that it's the way you're looking at it. And sometimes you find yourself in a relationship where the person subtly manipulates you out of your power. For example, I mean, people want to get married, and then someone suggests that now that I want to get married, I earn enough, so I wouldn't mind if you stay at home to raise the children and build a family while I go out and then I develop myself. Right? That would sound right. After all, what I bring back, we're going to be sharing it together. We're going to live our lives together, right? And so that sounds like, hey, that sounds right. But the question is, what did you plan to do with your life? Were you someone who planned to be a full-time housewife, or you've always want to be a career person, you wanted to create your own business, or you want to even work in the corporate world where you actually belong to the boardroom, right? And so, whilst that would sound as a subtle suggestion, in many cases, the manipulator is trying to strip you of your economic powers or power. That the moment you have to look up to the manipulator all the time, you know that your destiny is sealed. At the end of the day, you're going to be a shadow of yourself, because after a while, you begin to realize that they will buy a house and your name is not in the house. And they'll tell you, after all, whatever is mine is yours. And then you see all this kind of thing. They begin to acquire property, and there is absolutely nothing to your name. And so by the time you wake up, maybe 12 years, 15 years, sometimes 20 years in the relationship, you're looking back and it looks like, hey, how did I get here? And some of you were manipulated into a love relationship that resulted into pregnancy. And then by the time you announce to someone that promised you heaven and earth to say, hey, I'm pregnant, you realize that they took to their heels. And that's why in America, you realize that the average family is a single-led family, because you begin to ask yourself, where is the man of the house? As a matter of fact, men have become endangered species when it comes to building a family life. So you see a lot of women working, around the clock to raise a child. And then you begin to ask yourself, the man who impregnated the woman, where exactly is this man? So today we're going to focus on how to handle the manipulator. In case you missed the first session, you might want to check on my YouTube page. And by the way, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to inform your friends about this class. Now, last week we talked about the need for you to stand for your humanity, that you are a human being, and many of us are functioning less than who we truly are when it comes to our humanity, because your humanity has been compromised. So you no longer have self-confidence in yourself because something has happened to you. So consistently you face gaslighting, or you face someone being talking you down, that you can't even raise your head because you're thinking, where am I going to start from? Now, you're a human being. The covenant of life is superior to any form of covenant. And so you want to stand for your humanity by helping the manipulator understand that you are no longer going to take certain things. And you need to understand that before you met the manipulator, you had a life. And so if you decide to leave the manipulator, you will still have a life. And number two, we talked about setting boundaries, that there is a need to clearly define what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in the relationship. Because in some cases, you are in a love relationship and the person talks you down in the presence of his family members, or in the presence of the family members, or because maybe they have some kind of money, more money than you, the well-to-do, they talk you down, and then your humanity is trampled on consistently. As a matter of fact, you are seen as a thing that must be used and not a being that must be respected. So you want to get to that point where you set the boundaries to say, as it has to do with my business, I am not going to have this conversation because this is what I want to do with my life. I once handled a case where there was this lady who was working in a very good firm, and she was earning so well. Then she got married to this guy who wasn't earning anything, right? And in no time, the guy began to talk her down to say, hey, I want you to leave that your place of work. It looks like you're getting stressed. It looks like blah, 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 blah. But he has no plan. He has no job, but he's trying to get her to leave our job. Now, there are people who come to you subtly. It would appear as if they care about you, but it's to manipulate you out of your place of strength. I love the way Proverbs in the Bible puts it. It says, a man that wanders away from home will rest in the assembly of the dead. A man that wanders away from home will rest in the assembly of the dead. That there are people that cannot molest you unless they take you away from your place of comfort. So you want to look at your life and ask yourself, where is my place of comfort? Where do I feel protected? Where is my place of security? You realize that your place of security may be your support system, your friends that can talk sense into your head. And then you find yourself in a relationship, and the first thing the person tries to do is to isolate you so that they can molest you. So they begin to tell you what is wrong with your friends, and you begin to pay attention. You will think that they're trying to protect you. They may even tell you that your friend is worldly, it's not godly. And so before you know it, a friend that you grew up together, there was no problem, you became suspicious of them and you moved away from them. And so this person isolated you from your support system that truly love you and could tell you the truth, and they moved you into their own world. And before you know it, you became a shadow of yourself. So you want to set boundaries to say, this is what is going to be acceptable in this relationship. You see, when you get into a relationship, there are two things in that relationship: your humanity and your role in the relationship. Humanity must never be compromised. And that is why we say that the ultimate stage in life is singleness. You were born single and you're going to die single. And so you do not want your singleness to be trampled with in that relationship, because singleness is where authenticity lies. So today, I'll go to number 3, how to break away from manipulation. Number 3 is you need to seek support. Now, if you're listening to me, you think that you are a shadow of yourself, you are in a toxic relationship, but you don't know how to leave. You are even married, and it looks like you are a shadow of yourself. You can't speak your truth. You cannot even speak your mind because you don't know what response to get. Maybe you are being battered and brutalized. I mean, I see people who are in a relationship and they get slapped, they get battered, and then the person comes back, he becomes sober, it's the devil, and then they remain in there. I mean, I've seen people die in such relationship. You want to seek support. Sometimes it may be tough to seek a support because, especially in a situation where the person is a high profile figure. So in a bid to protect the abuser, you keep it to yourself and you suffer in silence. It is high time you talk to friends, family, or professionals who can offer advice and support. Sometimes you are not self-sufficient by yourself. You can handle these things by yourself, especially when there is so much fear in you about what to do with your life. So you want to pick a call and ask yourself, pick your phone and ask yourself, who can I talk to? Full disclosure, you need to find someone you can be honest with, a professional, a mentor, someone that you can tell exactly what is happening without editing anything. Because oftentimes we become enablers of the manipulators because we want to protect their personality. So you want to ask yourself today, who are you going to call tomorrow? Who are you going to send a mail to tomorrow that you're going to tell exactly what you feel? And I know some of you are people of faith. You believe that the person is going to get better. So you are praying, you are in your war room, you are talking to God about the heart of the person. Yes, it is good to pray, but can you get an independent minded person who can help you analyze what you're like, a sounding board? So you want to put the name of the person down and you want to put on your sheet of paper, because now it's action point. What time are you going to reach out to the person tomorrow? Is it a email address? When are you going to send the mail? And it's full disclosure, because I do not want you to die, right? This is a 911 situation. And so you want to reach out almost immediately. That takes me to the next one. The next action that you need to take, having called the person, is to aggressively grow yourself, all right? It's important for everyone in the relationship or everyone who want to get into a relationship to educate yourself, learn about manipulation techniques and strategies to deal with them effectively. Now, if you're single and you're listening to me, you want to ask yourself, how many love relationships have you been involved with in the last 10 years? Right? You want to answer that question. Maybe you're a C-suite executive. It looks like you attract the wrong set of people. If you have been following many of my teachings, I've said that you are a walking energy field, and then you emit energy and you transmit energy signals per time. And so if there is trauma in you, the signal you send to the atmosphere is trauma. And if there's good in you, you can send trauma and good. But then the person you're going to attract into your life will be someone who is also looks good in certain areas, but warehouse a lot of trauma. And that is why you want to work with a professional and deal with your trauma and heal the inner child in you. Now, it's important to grow yourself aggressively because you see, empowerment, or the word anointing is the word empowerment. That when you build yourself to a level where you feel, I do not need this person anymore, then you can literally walk out of a toxic relationship. If it is a case of a marriage, you can grow yourself to a level where you can talk to someone that both of you mutually report to, because you don't want to die in silence. So you want to ask, how do I grow myself? There are about 4 things I would recommend. 1, cultivate self-awareness. So every day, reflect on your life in that relationship and ask yourself, was this the life I wanted when I got into this relationship? Do I feel respected? Do I feel listened to? Do I feel honored in this relationship? Don't allow the desperation to get married or to remain in a marriage make you overlook what is going to take your life before your time. So cultivate self-awareness. So can you journal for the next 1 week? How exactly do you feel? And if you can get your accountability partner to read everything you've journaled honestly, what will be their response or counsel to you? Number 2, strengthen your support system. So you want to get back and look for a support group of people who are going through what you're going through. Now, and I don't mean those toxic support group, who will give the wrong counsel. You want to find out, maybe you can talk to a professional. I mean, if you can get on my Calendly, and I have free clarity session, which is about 15 minutes thereabout. I can easily listen to you, and where you need to pay, I'll tell you to pay, right? And so you want to get an expert advice, because sometimes you're not sure whether you're being manipulated or not. But when you get an independent person, it helps. Number 3, you want to set boundaries and assert yourself. What will you no longer tolerate? What will you no longer tolerate? It's got to be very, very clear that I will no longer tolerate being talked down unnecessarily. I will no longer tolerate being reduced to trash in my own home. I'm no longer going to tolerate toxic people in my life who do not respect me for who I am. You need to list the things you're not going to. You are a human being. Every human being deserves respect. In fact, there are 4 things every human being needs. Every human being needs to be respected. Every human being needs to be accepted. Every human being needs to be understood, and every human being needs to be loved. So you want to ask yourself, what will you no longer take? And number 4, you want to develop an exit plan where necessary. Sometimes exit is what is going to solve this problem, because the bully will never think that you can survive without them. They turn themselves to the center of your life. But what I always say to people is this: can you cast your mind back to 30 years ago when you had not met this person? Did you miss them? Were you longing for them? So how did you survive before you met this person? So don't reduce yourself into a human doing or a human thing who does not have capacity to grow and live by yourself. So develop an exit plan, all right? And tell yourself the date you're going to exit. If it's a case of marriage already and you think you are going through severe abuse, there are agencies you can talk to if you live in America. I know some of you are in Africa. If you are in Nigeria, I know Lagos state government has got a strong facility where they can call you and, broker counseling. I used to sit on that board before I moved to the US. Now, that takes me to the second to the last thing, which is step, which is prioritize self-care. Now, you need to ensure that your well being is always a priority. If the relationship continues to be detrimental, consider taking steps to distance yourself. So sometimes separation in case of marriage is the first thing you want to do, especially when it becomes a mental health issue and you look at the person and it's coming to you. There are voices, auto suggestions to say, it's either he kills you or you get killed. You don't want to die in the so you want to do a controlled separation. As a matter of fact, in some cases, you might seek an injunction for them not to get close to you. Now, what? So if you want to pray for them, you can pray from afar, but then you want to ensure that the things that may led to the separation has been handled before there's a reconciliation. Now, and in reconciliation, you want to be sure that the bully has gone through proper therapy and the person who is working with him has signed to say that this person is now okay and fit to get back into the relationship. But even in the flow chart of getting back into the relationship, you need to do marital counseling again in case of marriage. But you see, if you're not even married, it's a no-brainer. Step out almost immediately. Now, what do you do when it comes to self-care? I mean, I do this regularly, almost every day, my self-care routine, which I think can help you. You need to divide your self-care into three. There must be your monthly routine, your afternoon routine, and then your evening routine. Now, your monthly mindfulness can be movement, and so which will involve meditation. I do a lot of meditation. If you go on YouTube, there are so many videos on meditation that can help you, right? And then I do brisk walking. I love that. I mean, where I live, when I walk around, do brisk walking around my street, it's about 598 steps. So when I do 10 of that, that's almost like 6,000 steps. So I do my brisk walking. And when you do your brisk walking, there are things you can monitor, and then you can do a breath control pattern. So take 4 breaths in. Then when you breathe out 4 times, breathe in 4 times, breathe out 4 times. And then you can change it and alternate it such that you breathe in 4 times, then you mutter something when you're breathing out. For example, you can do, I am bigger, or I am greater, or I'm richer, and things like that. Now, in that morning, you want to do a mirror work. Mirror me is you face the mirror and you admire every part of you. Because for you to be manipulated is a direct reflection of something that has gone on with your self-esteem. People whose esteem is intact. And then I must say, if you're a woman of color, if you have sound esteem, you're likely going to be called proud. You don't have to listen to people call you proud, because oftentimes they think that being feminine is synonymous to being weak or putting your head down for everyone to trample on you. That's not it. You don't want anyone to mess you up, right? And so you want to look into the mirror from head to toe and appreciate yourself. Then make sure that you embrace good diet. I mean, I do a lot of smoothies and a lot of juices. I don't take fizzy drink. I take a lot of water. You want to do that for yourself. Number 2, midday break for reflection and rejuvenation. No matter how tough your work is, I mean, I sit on this chair and I'm doing counseling around the clock. I'm doing strategy for people and I'm facilitating trainings regularly, right? And so you can do digital detox, which is your phone. You want to drop your phone at least 1 hour midday, wherein you are not chatting, you are not, because what many of us don't know is that chatting multiple groups at the same time is your mind processing multiple situations at the same time, and that can be a major stressor. So digital detox, you can journal and do nature work. Do attempt to count the number of leaves on the trees where you live. Attempt to look into the sky, and just observe the movement. Or if there's a lake where you can go fishing or something, you want to journal, all right? And so you can write 5 things to be grateful for and things like that. But you want to journal your feeling and your mood per time. And number 3, evening and wind down for quality rest. So before you sleep, have a journal, 5 things you're grateful for about the day, right? Then relax. You can play jazz music. I mean, there is something I teach called power sport. I can't teach that today, which is a canvas that chronicles everything you've done right. In fact, if you have a power spot, you are not likely going to get stressed. And even if you get stressed, if you use your power spot, you will bounce back faster because it makes you secrete dopamine, and then you are in a better shape. And so if you follow this, right, and then before you sleep, let your body be aware that you are done with the day. So for example, if you put your arms around your body and just say, oh body, thank you very much for how you've helped me today. All right, so I'm done with work and it's time to relax, right, and just go to bed. Now you've sent a signal to your unconscious mind that it was time for you to sleep. How many times have you slept and woken up and you still feel very tired? It was because your mind felt you were still working. So even when you were asleep, your mind was still working. So it's important to follow this, because it will help you a great deal in self-care. You need to take care of yourself. The more you take care of, and don't let anyone guilt trip you for taking care of yourself. I mean, for those of us who are from the religious perspective, they'll tell you when souls are perishing. No, your own soul is the soul that is most important. As a matter of fact, your soul is the most critical soul that needs to be saved. And so take yourself out, buy yourself what your heart really desire without feeling really guilty, because sometimes you want to self-care and the voice says to you, oh, there are souls perishing, there are people who might need this and things like that. Yes, those people will always exist. Even Jesus said the poor you will always have among you. So you take good care of yourself. I mean, do your grooming, take your brisk walk, take your exercise, go swimming. I mean, I love to dance salsa. And for those of you who can't go to the gym, there's a lady I recommend on YouTube. Her name is Leslie Sansong. She does walk aerobics. You can do it in your house, and then you'll feel good about it. And finally, I must say that the most important factor in manipulation is the owner of the hand that grips you. And how they handle you is a clear reflection of their perception of you. So when we define manipulation, it's about gripping. And I mentioned last week that you can be gripped rightly. I mean, if I grip you, someone I love, if I grip my wife, she would never feel I was trying to suffocate her. She would know I was doing, it was romance. She would feel that, oh, I wanted to touch her, right? If there is an accident or there's about to be an accident, I grip a child, that is safety. But then you can grip someone and suffocate them. Manipulation is about gripping, right? And so you are like a potter in the hand of the manipulator. Now, if the manipulator is a good manipulator, it can build you into the best of your kind, where you become so confident, you become so powerful, and you become so invincible and indispensable everywhere you go. But you, in the hand of a bad manipulator, you will be reduced to a shadow of yourself. So it's not the manipulation that is the problem. It is the hand in whose, and the hand that is manipulating you is the issue. So the question is, whose hands are you? A mentor, a religious leader, a lover, a husband, a wife, a girlfriend, a partner, a boss? Who is handling you? So it's a question you want to answer. The moment you feel that you are being treated less than you truly deserve, the moment you feel they're talking you down, they're treating you like you're not a human being, then that is the way to see you. The first thing you want to do is to redefine yourself and renegotiate your handler. You got to stand for yourself and let them know, thank you very much for how you treated me. Or you might want to ask them, how do you really see me? Because sometimes they may think you're a fool, because everything they want you to do, you do for peace to reign. But at what expense? Is it at the expense of your life? Are you living the life you want? Are you truly happy? If you're not happy, it might be a time to have a truce meeting with the manipulator and let them know that you feel disrespected. Let them know that you think they don't regard you and they don't respect you, and you want that to change. And then let them know, this is how I want to be treated, and these are the boundaries I am going to set for myself. Do not ever think you cannot live without someone. I mean, if you're married, you need to get into counseling so that your marriage can be preserved. Sometimes the manipulator is just a counseling away from developing better skills at handling you. But if you are single, trust me, you don't want to go ahead, because if you go ahead with a relationship when it's clear this person is a manipulator, right? This person is dating you and your friend, is hitting at your friend, hitting other people close to you, and you know that, hey, this person is just collecting your money if you go ahead, then you would have been a wicked person. Because what the definition of a wicked person is this: it says a wicked person, a wise man sees evil and hides himself, but the wicked goes ahead and is destroyed. That a wicked person is someone who sees situations that is going to be injurious to your mental health or to your wellness, and it still goes ahead to engage, right? That is a wicked person, and that is a reflection of who you are. You want to change that and grow yourself into who you need to become. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the chat box. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, feel free and share this with the people that you know. You know someone who is being manipulated. You have a friend who is being manipulated by a lover, a leader. In fact, the biggest manipulators can happen in the religious spaces of people that you really think are for you, but then they're just using you. And if care is not taken, you'll just wake up after 30 years and realize that everything they promised that will happen never happens. But sometimes this is restricted to love relationship. So you want to wake up and ensure that you live the best of your life today. And if there is anything you want me to handle that is involved relationship, I will take time to handle and answer them, right? But if you have any question, please, you can feel free to ask your question on the chat box. But if I can't answer it now, I will answer it tomorrow. But meanwhile, I have 2 programs coming up, right? If you're a parent and you are listening to me, we're doing a webinar, in the month of March, and you want to quickly ensure you sign up. If you are raising a teenager, maybe you are a parent, you have a teenager, you don't want to miss that webinar. Is a free webinar. I'm going to be spending 2 hours sharing with you how to raise a child in Europe, in North America, and in the UK, especially if you are raising teenagers, because there is the battle line has been drawn, and you cannot afford to be ignorant of what you need to be aware of. But if you are a C-suite executive or you're a high flyer or highly placed professional, and your challenge is finding love, I'm also starting a session in the month of March, Attract Your Dream Spouse. It's a 5-module session where the courses are pre-recorded. You will listen to them, then I'll come to class, answer questions, and coach you on what you need to do, right? It's one of my best selling programs, very intense. You will heal, you will discover your shape, your C-suite shape. You discover the kind of partners you need that is meant for you, where they are located. Then after that, you will now go through a 10-week Attract Your Spouse challenge, which is what to do every day across 10 weeks in finding your spouse. I have a track record of helping people find their ideal spouse over the years when they go through this program, because it will tell you what to do every day, right? But every time people go through it, right, they become a totally different person. They become so empowered and enlightened that they get in control of their lives. And that's where you want to be, where you're in control and you can live life on your terms. A lot of us, the person you should marry is someone in your past. Sometimes it's someone in your future. But how do you connect? How do you build, a list of eligibles, 11 eligibles that have your values, have your worldview? All these things, I'm going to show you the secret to attracting them within the fastest possible time. And sometimes what is sabotaging you are the traumas that you are yet to process from your past. We deal with those traumas in that session. So you can use a scan code and get in. They attract your spouse, your dream spouse, has a payment plan if you want to join that. And then Raising Your Teen, it's a free webinar. You don't want to miss that for anything. I want to appreciate you for joining me today. Next week, Wednesday, we're going to back. Now, if you prefer 9 p.m. CST, or you want us to shift it back a little bit to 8 p.m., just drop a comment in the comment box and then we'll consider it. All right. But whatever it is, every Wednesday we're here and I'm going to be teaching you on various aspects of relationship. It's Wednesday night affair with Praise Forward. I thank you very much for joining. Please invite your friends next week and don't forget to subscribe. There are so many videos. My YouTube page is a school of thought. You can go in there and listen to all sorts of stuff that can help you from relationship to marriage to parenting, everything family life and personal development you find there. Thank you very much. I honor you. and I'll see you. I'll see you very soon, God's willing. This time next week we will be right back, and we'll be doing what we do best, which is serving you the best content that you can ever be. Okay, let me see. Thank you very much for your thoughts on this important topic. Okay, thank you very much, Cook Bakers. Thank you very much for that. Every other person, thank you for joining me. I celebrate you and I appreciate you all. I'll see you. Till then, keep loving, keep living, and please don't allow manipulators to manipulate you. Instead, you go ahead, manipulate the manipulator, and win. I honor you. Bye-bye.
I am praise for warware.com.